right, I will call to order the June meeting of the Glendale Planning and Historic Preservation Commission. We'll begin as always by noting for the record, Becky, that we do have a quorum, one member absent, two members absent, excuse me.
My goodness.
One excused absence, I won't say who. All right, again, moving back to our agenda, the approval for the minutes of our last meeting. Members of the commission, you've had an opportunity to review those. What is your pleasure?
Move approval.
I'll second.
Any discussion, members of the commission? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, old business now. We have two items of old business. The first is a proposed amendment to the zoning code relative to the harboring of chickens. David, I think that's yours, isn't it?
And it certainly is. As we discussed at the last meeting, there were a number of amendments and changes that were made by the Planning Commission. At this point, what has been circulated and what's in front of you is a red line version. I'll run through those changes very quickly. But it was to permit corrugated plastic material for the coop and removing the ventilation requirement, increasing the size of the coop to 100 square feet, and adding the same corrugated plastic material, approved or permitted material, to a chicken run construction, but that still does permit, or does still require ventilation, and sets a maximum height for a chicken run at 10 feet. Other than that, they are formatting and numbering changes based on those amendments.
All right. Members of the commission, Beth?
Well, I just think the process really worked in this case with the public testimony that we had and the work that David put in, and I move approval.
I have a question first. On K, it says free ranging of chickens is not permitted without a fence at least 6 feet in height, but it doesn't say the chickens have to be contained within that fenced area. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So you could have a fence 6 feet in height and then have the chickens outside according to this. I'm just saying.
No, I understand. We can add that requirement, but that
Okay,
the
So-
where, I'm sorry, where is that again?
K.
okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's
I'll make
outside the zoning code, actually. That's the part
right.
of the
I'll make a note of
ordinance
that
that's not- Yeah.
for council when they pick up this amendment.
So would you say then, Bob, free ranging of chickens is not permitted except within a fence
Right,
at least 6 feet in height?
except within a fenced area at least 6 feet in height.
That's fine.
Okay, I move approval as amended, or do I have to withdraw my motion?
No, you can just,
Okay.
nobody seconded.
I
so just-
accept the amendment.
All right. Is there a second with, of the, Beth's motion?
I'll second it.
All right. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to discuss at all this application? Members of the commission, further
Wait.
discussion? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
I would have like to ask a question, who would raise chickens on the outside of a fence?
It's just a matter of,
I'm just saying, it's,
they wouldn't. But, well, we have had chickens running loose
Yeah.
before, very close to where we are right now.
Oh, yeah.
without a fence.
And
You're
you
trying to
know,
prevent that, yeah.
you know, you're a lawyer, you know, if it's not phrased correctly.
Exactly.
They could say, hey, I have a 6-foot fence and I have chickens.
That's right. No, I like that idea. Anyone else in the audience wish to address? Members of the commission, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, we'll pass that amendment recommendation on to the council. Is that on the council's agenda for tonight?
It is not. We'll have a resolution from
Okay.
planning, then it'll be on the July council agenda.
Fair enough. All right, let's move on to our second item of old business. It's the request of Josh Thompson, I believe, for driveway 195 East Fountain. Is there someone here to address that application? Sir, if you would approach the podium, we may have some questions for you. If you wouldn't mind beginning with your name and then giving us an idea of what you're doing.
Yeah, my name's Josh Thompson, and we're looking to just pave the existing footprint that's currently a gravel driveway with blacktop. I worked with David. We understand that there's a 5-foot setback requirement. Some of the gravel does fall within that setback. So the plan would be just to pave the area that's not. So as the picture depicts, the property line diverges, basically follows our neighbor's driveway. So we'll just measure that setback, so there'll be a strip of gravel there.
David, you want to cancel that update?
Oh, see, I even did it and it didn't work.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, Mr. Thompson.
No, no worries.
Thank you. Yes, that's fine.
So let me make sure I'm clear. The orange rectangle on the right side of the picture, that is being paid or is not being paid?
That, the orange/red area is being paved, and that is all currently gravel driveway footprint. Then there's this strip at the bottom right. The blue line represents, this is off the auditor's site, so it's taken a slight angle, but basically follows our neighbor's driveway. And then we have a gravel portion that is within that 5-foot setback. Obviously, this is represented as perfectly to scale.
Got it. So that, what he just highlighted in yellow is
Will
not
not
being
be
is
paid.
not being paid.
That's correct.
So if you see like the garden area there on the top right, and then there is a area that comes in that is not within that 5 feet, we would like to pave that as well. So that's why I added the, I guess the bottom right, that's now underneath the highlight red area that would be paved, but there is that gravel strip in between the blue line and the red-orange area that would not be paved because of that 5-foot setback.
And will
There we
that
go.
stay gravel, or will you turn that back into,
We leave it gravel for now. There's a variance, I guess, we can request. We haven't gone through that process yet to pave it.
All right. Well, the drawing doesn't have any scale, so I'm just want to make sure that none of that orange or red encroaches on that 5 foot. And that's what you're saying, is it will not.
It will not, right.
Okay.
Yep.
Anyone else, members of the commission? No discussion, is there a motion?
I'll move that we accept the plans as submitted with the specification that it not go within the 5-foot setback.
Okay.
Second.
All right, motion is second. Is there anyone in the audience wishes to address this application? Members of the commission, further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, sir. All right, now on to new business. We have a resolution relative to proposed amendment, or a proposed amendment to the guidelines. This was discussed in public hearing, 2 public hearings, I believe, wasn't it, David?
Correct.
And that's attached to the agenda. It's fairly straightforward. I think it accurately reflects the changes that we voted upon last month. Members of the commission, what's your favor with respect to this resolution?
Well, it's exactly what we suggested last month, so I recommend approval.
I'll second it.
Second, all right. Anyone wish to discuss this in the audience or otherwise? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
I
Aye.
think
Opposed?
there's somebody in the audience,
Oh.
I'm not sure.
Oh,
I was wondering, what are the historic design guidelines?
That's a separate book that we have that gives
Green book.
guidelines, it gives suggestions on how to develop in the historic district. And so it gives examples of what new windows might look like or what new shutters might look like. And in this case, there was a section that talked about, well, you can read in the resolution, it says no, or any new construction shall not exceed 1.5 stories in height at grade level. That became a sticking point on a new house that was proposed for the historic district. And for clarity purposes, we are recommending a change to the council that be revised to the language you see in the resolution. All right, thank you. No, that's fine. Members of the committee, did we vote on it?
I think
Yes.
We had a motion. so-
Yes,
And I
All-
seconded it.
you seconded and it's voted.
Okay, all right. Oh, that's right, we went back to the audience. Thank you. All right, well, let's move on then to the next item on our agenda, which is a request for porch additions and front door replacement at 940
6.
Forest Avenue. Mr. Mathio, I believe this is your application. You can tell us as little or as much as you want. We've had an opportunity to review your drawings, and we'll take it from there.
Any questions on it, or?
I don't personally, but others might.
Basically, what we're doing is the front porch is rotted out, and so we're replacing like for like, to the exact, basically everything's gonna be the same dimensions, the post, everything else is there. So we're gonna keep it exactly how it was there, as far as the porch goes. So I don't know, that's pretty straightforward. As far as the front porch, the front doors go, what we're proposing, those doors on there is not how, we're changing those. Found out the leaded glass was a lot more expensive than we thought. What we're proposing for the front doors currently are double doored, and they're 18 inches wide each one. And with elderly parents bringing packages and stuff, it's very hard to get in and out of them. What we're proposing on the door, there is a picture of the door. From the outside, it'll look identical to what we have, but from the inside, you'll open it, it'll be a single door.
Oh,
And so we're asking that we can put a single door in that basically it is, do you have the picture of that door? Yeah, there it is. But it'll be on a single hinge, but the throw will still be, we're pretty sure we can find a throw with the handle in the center of the door, so that from the outside it'll look exactly like the door we have.
interesting.
How creative.
Well,
So,
I believe in trying to keep it as historical as possible.
Yeah.
and so you think that the doors you have now are original?
They sure look like it to me.
Yeah, yeah.
But people were a lot smaller back then. And
Well.
I mean, at 18 inches, I can't walk out of them like this.
Oh, yeah,
I have
yeah.
to turn.
Yeah, yeah.
they're open both.
I have
Yeah.
a dog that's 110 pounds and he's having trouble getting through it, so.
Well, if,
Aye.
you wouldn't mind if I stopped by and looked at them, would you?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Love to have you there.
I have
There-
a question
yes, sir.
regarding the steps. You said they're gonna be stone steps?
We're asking the stones to, I'd like to use field stone on the steps on the bottom and then put some type of limestone on top instead of having brick.
So the limestone would be a smooth manufacture?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
And then we're gonna continue, my wife still would like to have the bricks coming up to the house. We'll probably replace them when we do the landscaping, and one of our plans is to go back to the historic center and find out who lived in the house, and have everybody who lived in the house in the year that they lived there etched into the stones as you move up to the house.
Cool.
Oh, that's fun. I have that history, I can get.
Oh, we'd love to have it, 'cause and then have
It's
our name
already
about
done.
halfway up, so that there's another 150 years to put into the stones on the way up.
Okay.
All right, any other
That's
questions?
my only question was about the steps.
All right. As far as the window, you said the leaded glass is not part of the proposal now, it's just gonna be.
Yeah, I thought the door was, with the leaded glass, was $8,000. The door's estimated 8,000. The leaded glass was about 70.
70,000?
Yeah. So
Wow.
I said no right
That's
away.
insane.
Who is
Never should.
making the door for you?
I don't know. The contractor said he found someone. Cordis, I think maybe is doing it.
Oh, the lumber company.
Yeah, they did our windows in my old house in East
Uh-huh.
Walnut Hills. So
Oh, terrific.
All right. Anyone in the audience wish to address this application? Further discussion, members of the commission? Is there a motion?
Yes, so moved.
Move to approve
Move
the
approval.
complete
I'll
application.
second it.
Motion second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
thank you very much. I appreciate your consideration.
All right, moving right along. Next request is for conditional use application for 15 East Fountain, an above-ground swimming pool. And that would be the application of Mike and Dina Maley. Mike and Dina Maley, welcome to Glendale, welcome to the commission. You've seen how we operate, we've all seen your plans, we know how you're, we know what you're proposing, so you can tell us as much or as little as you want, and we'll take it from there.
Sure, okay. My wife Dina's right here. We just moved to Glendale 2 months ago, so just getting settled. What we're proposing is, with the drawing there in our backyard, there was an existing footprint of the above-ground pool, 24 foot, and we're proposing to replace it like for like. So the same type of pool. Obviously, technology has increased since this last pool. When we met with the designer over at Watson's. It's not a sand filter today, it's a cartridge filter that's mineral. So it's not really a chlorine pool, it's more of a mineral, 80% less chlorine, which is great. But it would be an above ground 24 foot. The sand is still back there, the electric's still back there. So basically Watson's can come in and construct it, in a matter of a day to put it up. So the material itself is improved since we had a pool 20-some years ago. It's resin based, so the whole top of the pool and the sides are resin. Salesman said like at the stadium, down at the Reds ballpark. So UV light, I guess, won't affect it, but the sides are steel, and then where it hooks into the pump, that's a stainless steel area. That whole panel is stainless steel. So this pool won't rust, and that was our concern, was if we're gonna put an above-ground pool in without, our property and neighbors adjoining, we certainly don't wanna have any type of issue down the road. And just speaking with our neighbor behind us, Mark Godby, he's over in Congress, he's below us, and he said, hey, I'm all in favor of this, but if you're going to pump your pool out, if you could actually move your line over to my driveway, there's a driveway easement on our property to Mark's property on Congress. They installed a drain at the end of his driveway in front of his new garages. So that's a great offering. We were gonna, somehow plan to go out to Congress if we ever had to drop the water down, and he said, no, just take it from your backyard directly to my driveway, and that would go right into this drain that we've put in, I guess, a number of years ago
Oh,
in the
nice.
garages, so.
He couldn't make it tonight, so they spoke on the phone.
I have a question about the fence. I don't see any gate in the fence. I'm assuming at the end of the drive is probably a double gate to get a lawn equipment in there?
Correct, yes, that's right.
I believe, this is not in our purview, but I believe you need to have a self-closing gate for a pool.
Not for above ground.
You don't?
That's what they told us at Watson. So with this
Oh.
pool, there's a self-locking
I saw that,
ladder
yeah.
that comes with the
Okay.
pool. Obviously, if we need to do a self-locking gate, we can certainly make that
That's
happen. So-
between you
Yeah,
and
we'll
Dave.
confirm those
Yeah.
requirements.
Okay.
That was my only question.
All right. Anyone else, any other questions, members of the commission?
In the fence, it's just a wire fence, not a privacy fence, but
No, it's a split rail, and it has a wire mesh. We've got a couple of dogs, so, yeah,
There's a privacy fence along Congress, correct?
correct.
Yes.
But along the back part, that's all
Yeah,
the mesh with
split
the split.
privacy.
The,
Yeah.
the fence is existing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone in the audience wish to address this application? Members of the commission, what's your pleasure?
I move that we accept the application as submitted.
And send a recommendation to the council, because we're not
Yeah.
actually approving it, okay?
Yeah.
how many above-ground pools do we have in the historic district currently?
I believe 2 or 3. I can think of one on South Troy that was approved.
Is that in the historic district?
Mhm.
Yeah.
We approved that one with a conditional use that the 6-foot privacy fence go around it, because it was viewed from its neighbors or its street. So
Mhm.
as far as I'm concerned, if you're gonna have an above-ground pool, I would like to insist that the conditional use include a 6-foot privacy fence to the neighbors and the street side.
Street side has it now, right, or not?
That's-
Oh, yeah.
Oh, what's that, something fence, what's that say?
It says split rail.
Fence. That's not- No, down low. There.
Split rail.
That's not,
Right, and that faces Fountain right there. And
yeah, you don't have any
But that's
privacy.
not a
fence.
privacy fence, that's
No.
just.
No,
We're not,
but it's
so-
not visible, the pool would not be visible from the front of the house. It sits
The
down.
elevation.
Low.
So only Godby would see it from the backside.
Right, right.
And then what about your neighbor on the east side?
We've not met them yet, so-
Is there any, it would be visible from their yard?
Yeah, there's a lot of green space all in that backyard. I mean, there's
Yeah.
even evergreen is what it mostly is, so it's very private back there.
So at a minimum, the two neighbor sides, and if you're telling me the elevation blocks the view from the street side, you wouldn't need it up there, if that's the case. That's my only comment.
Was the other one on Troy required to have a privacy fence?
We made that a part because you could see, when you were
Yeah.
driving down Troy, you could see the pool. In
Yeah.
fact, people kept asking because it took the contractor 9 months to get the fence in. And thought, man, that looks horrible back there. And but eventually the contractor, they were having some troubles, but they got it built, so.
Do we require that around the whole rear yard or just along?
Just on the street side?
On the
The
street
rear-
side? I
yeah.
don't recall. Do you?
I believe they were considering doing the 6 foot on the side and rear lines, but the front of the fence, what faced South Troy, was originally intended to be 4 foot. I think it was split rail or 3 board, some kind of a
It's,
more open.
it's all 6 foot privacy fence.
It is now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I believe the original application had the front of it open to some degree.
But what was approved there on South Troy, or South Troy, was only a privacy fence along the front? So
No.
visibility from Troy or all the way around the property?
All the way around.
For the
Okay.
neighbors and the street, so.
It was much closer to the street
Sure,
than this is.
sure. They've got it on Congress, so if you did it on the south and the east side,
Mhm.
your neighbors wouldn't see it, so. I mean, if we're doing an above ground pool,
And
Mhm.
David, all the adjoining property owners were notified, were they not, through the
They
mail?
were. Yep.
So I talked with Mark, spoke with Mark,
Yeah.
neighbors next door and I guess east of us, have not met yet, so I don't think they're here
But,
tonight.
but I think you said there's vegetation along that back property line
There's
as
a
well?
lot of it,
There's a lot.
a lot of
you
green,
can see it.
and
Sure,
evergreen as
still,
well.
Yeah.
that can die off.
Yeah. I guess one question I had too was, when this was previously approved, I think the pool was previously done in 2013. Has it changed since then, where you no longer, a split rail is okay, and you need that privacy fence, that's 6 foot?
There's no specific requirement except that there be a fence. But as far as the approval, because the conditional use was technically abandoned because the pool was removed, then if there is a condition that's placed on the property to receive that conditional use, that would have to be
What's that
followed.
face, that drawing, that picture there?
Now,
That's
What
the
is-
east property.
And I'd like to
That's
be
the east?
consistent.
Yeah, and this has gotta be on this side.
Oh, that's completely screened as far as I can tell.
I mean, for the benefit of everyone, I'm gonna pull up, this is the Cage's aerial of the property.
Oh, that's a nice property.
Yeah. What do you wanna pull, what do you need a pool for?
That's gorgeous.
So here, this property is 15.
Oh, I see where the pool is.
There's the neighbor, yes.
Right.
So the pool
Yeah.
is more or less in this corner of the property.
Uh-huh.
And then there's the neighbor at 25, and then there's Mr. Godby.
So it's heavily.
So their house is even closer to it than I thought.
Godby says, yeah.
No, the east.
Oh.
So, anyway, that'd be my opinion. Since we did it before, we need to be consistent.
The vegetation on the east side, is that just tall
Tall trees.
deciduous trees, or is that evergreen on the east side?
It's a combination.
Combination.
It's both.
Trying to see if there's a better image.
You don't have a bird's eye view on this, on Cages, do you? Like Bing's mapping function.
And what, it shows what we need to see. I mean, the proximity of the houses, the neighbors' houses.
Mm-hmm.
And greenery dies.
Well, while we're looking at members of the commission, we have a motion to approve it as submitted. I think, Beth, did you make the motion? Or-
I think I did.
Bob did.
Megan?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then,
I'll second if I
We have a motion
didn't
second.
already.
and Tom made the suggestion that it be a condition imposed for privacy fence. Does the motion and the second want to consider that, or you want to stay with the motion as drafted?
I'll stay with it as drafted.
I will too.
All right. Well, we have a motion and a second. Let me ask if there's anyone in the audience wishes to address this application. Further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
All right. Well, motion carries. That's, I think you understand, that's just a recommendation to the full council. So the council has the opportunity to accept or further condition it. They may take up the suggestion about the privacy fence as well. So, is that on the agenda for tonight?
It
for
is.
Council?
You're not necessarily required to attend. Of course, council could deliberate based on what was discussed, the footprint and layout of the lots, but, yeah,
Okay,
it will be on the agenda this evening.
all right. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, moving right along, last item on the agenda is a request for conditional use amendment at 555 Albion.
Yeah, we'll give you a call when the permit. Thank you.
Thank you all.
And this is the Bethany property. Oh, hello. I recognize you as being as a representative of Bethany from before, maybe from the architect, is that right, or from?
No, unfortunately not.
Oh.
I'm Director of Finance and Operations at Bethany
Oh,
School.
what's your name for the record, ma'am?
Olga Grab.
Older. Very good. You've seen how we operate. We've all had a chance to see your plans, but we're happy to hear from you, and we'll take it from there.
Of course. David, can you put the, yes. So today we're seeking amendment to the conditional use of one of the areas of the campus, and it's called grassy play area. Currently it's used for recess and for kickball game and for other games for kids to be outside. Can you please move to the next one? What we're seeking is to rename that grassy play area to recreation area to allow us to build a new playground. We do need that playground for kids to spend time outdoors, learn and develop their physical, social, and cognitive abilities. So you can see here where it's going to be. So you can see that we currently have natural playscape. You can see hedgerow lane running on the left. We have Oak Road parking lot on the bottom, and then the new playground will be along the wall of the dining hall that currently we have. And here are the designs. You can see the view from the above of that playground. We will have a swing area with wooden mulch there, and we will also have the main area with the playground equipment with turf. So we anticipate no change to traffic flow or any light change. Primary play area where the kids will be spending time will be moved closer to the school buildings and away from the neighbors where we have currently nature playscape. We will be having a calm gathering area for the kids. We will have safer, more durable, and more modern equipment at the playground. And definitely, as I mentioned, we do need playground because currently we don't have any space for kids to play.
What alterations are you making to the area that has the natural playscape, the one with the stumps?
We are considering just maybe putting some seating more for them. Like we currently have there like some wooden pieces that actually rotten, so we will be removing some of them, and that's why initially what nature playscape looked like 5 years ago, it's no longer can be used by kids. It's not safe, so we will be taking those wooden pieces out, and we plan on maybe putting them some natural like stones. There is still a small slide, but we would like to have them more seatings and maybe some outdoor learning opportunities. But it's more going to be just gathering for older kids, maybe just to have their chats.
Are you still going to have enough room for them to play kickball and all that stuff in outside of the play area?
No, we're not considering. The grassy area that it's called now will still have some space for open play. However, I don't think it's enough for kickball game. So that's something we will be looking at. I know there are some options for a kickball game, but it's only once a year, so we're not considering that it's something big problem. So one of the things, and we put a lot of effort and energy and time and consideration in where that playground could be, and we chose this grassy area because it's close to the nature playscape, so we can engage two areas together, and it's flat enough, and also it's close enough to the building so we can provide supervision for the kids. So we did invest a lot of time in, as part of a significant I'm sorry, significant part of the cost of the project that the surfaces. So that field has an underground stormwater detention system, and you probably aware more than I am, like what the history of that. So our goal is to avoid that area and not to put any playground equipment on top. We do have Eric Duval, who was involved with previous project with Glendale, supervising this and planning, that David and your engineer were in touch and discussing all the things in details. So we will be putting different additional layers of stone. All the surfaces will be pervious, so they will be performing as natural grass or better. So this is the goal, and they will be all tied to the existing stormwater
Should be better.
system. So that's it. If you
Okay.
have questions, please let me know.
Thank you.
And yeah,
Yeah,
there are additional
well-
slides if you would like to, but this is what David and your engineer were discussing, that basically the drawing of the surface, so it will be turf on top, then there will be infill, then will be stone base, and then drain that will go to the existing drainage. So those are all the details here, and they probably, and your engineer know a lot of details, so those number of stones, and but if you have questions, we're happy to answer those.
Thank you very much.
You should suggest that they put a fabric sleeve on that 4-inch perforated pipe, because otherwise it'll get all clogged up and it won't drain after a number of years.
There will be a geotexture, I believe, that
Okay.
will retain the soil from
It's just not-
infiltrating with the.
Yeah, it's not on that
It's
drawing.
on the second slide. Next slide, you can see all the details that I put, and you can see that there will be
That's good, that's
the
what I was
layer
talking
that
about.
will prevent
Yeah.
migration of the soil.
Okay.
So this is not a significant visual change to any of the neighbors.
No, a little bit, McSwain.
Mm-hmm.
They were all notified, were they not?
They were.
Did you have any comments? Did anybody call you or?
Gordon Krasinski, who lives on Hedgerow, asked for a copy of the plans, and I believe Mr. Love was on the email as well, and neither followed up with any questions or comments.
I mean, it's a playground, they'll use it during school hours and it won't be a hangout, so. it's fine.
Yeah.
All right. Is there a motion?
I move that we accept the plans as submitted.
Conditional use. Is that what-
Yes, conditional use, so it's a recommendation.
Recommendation to council.
Right.
Right.
Second.
Motion seconds. Is there anyone in the audience wish to address this application? Further discussion, members of the commission? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations. David, is this on the agenda?
It is not. Planning will have a resolution on the July agenda, and then anticipate it'll be on the July council agenda for approval.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, that concludes our action items. Is there anybody in the audience wish to address the commission on any other matter?
What's that say, 5?
Five.
Our meeting hasn't started yet, you have to do it all over.
Thought y'all was gonna get out of here early? No. First of all, I wanna thank the commission for allowing me to speak today. I am a new old resident. My family has been here since the early 1900s, so we've been here for over 100 years. I've spent the last almost 25 years in Florida, but I want to come home and die here, so to speak. Not tomorrow, but some other time. And a month ago, I had the opportunity to obtain a historical property at 100 Washington Avenue, which is the house that has been unoccupied for a number of years. And it sits right next to Washington Park. My original plan was to actually just live in it. Unfortunately, my partner and my daughter said no. So we're not going to do that. But the existing property sits on about a quarter of the actual acreage, which is 0.94 acres. There's a whole bunch of trees back there, and I'm trying to get some sense of what the development parameters are, because there's so many trees, and you know, Glendale has been noted as a tree community. I'm trying to see whether or not any plans that I would develop would make sure they're in compliance with the historical nature of the building. So even though the property is not going to be used for habitation, I am a general contractor. I am also a disaster recovery expert, working with, you know, so I know EPA and all of the studies that need to be made before that property can be accessed. The issue I'm having right now is that some of that vegetation happens to be encroaching on my property. That property is owned by the village. That property has sat there for longer than this property has been unoccupied. And so I wanted to make sure that the plans of the village do not, or my plans won't interfere with what the village is going to be utilizing that property for. So that's why I'm coming before you to see if there are any development restrictions. Additionally, I need to put in a driveway. There is an existing footprint for a driveway which has become overgrown with vegetation. And so I'm trying to see whether or not, and I've already put in a work order with the village so that somebody can tell me where these property lines are, because right now they're not marked. And if you look at them on Google Earth, you know, they give you a general, but they're not giving you a specific, which is why I can't address 94 Washington, 100 Washington, until I address 94 Washington.
You'll have
David,
to get a
can we,
survey done.
can we get a KGIS map up on there so we can see what we're
Sure.
talking about?
To be specific, you'll have to hire.
Would it need a
surveyor.
survey?
Yes.
You'll need-
But the-
Haven't you guys already surveyed?
It's your property.
Excuse me?
Survey it.
You have to survey your own property.
I understand.
Okay.
But if you have a survey on yours,
don't-
all
I
I
don't
gotta
have
do is
anything.
look and see
You know
what,
I'm saying?
where
I
it
don't
is.
know we have a survey.
Oh, I'm just saying, I
If the
mean,
village has surveyed it.
Yeah.
When I built my garage, I had to survey my own property.
And if you put a fence in, you have to survey it. You just
So,
have to survey if
It's the
you're doing work.
responsibility of the
Yeah.
homeowner, the property owner.
if you
David,
pull
do you
that
know-
up, you
What's
you
that?
will see
Do-
the difficulty in that.
Yeah.
Do we have, does the village have a survey of the park property that's right next
It's
door?
likely we have a
This is
legal
all your
description of the
property.
property. As far as a drone survey, I have not seen one recently.
Which park is that?
Washington.
Oh, sorry.
That's up against Washington.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
What about the old house?
The old house will remain.
Okay.
And what I am doing right now is restoring it to its original.
To the original, okay.
Yeah. There will be absolutely no changes to any of the structure. There will be repairs.
Yeah.
There will be no additional, they have a pretty good fuse box and everything, but the plumbing, we're going to replace that
What are
with
you looking for,
PVC as necessary and repair the floors. But as far as doing anything on the inside, that's we're not going to do that. The porch will remain as it is, but my thoughts are is to just screen it in, utilizing the same, you know, structure.
Okay.
So you want to site clear some of that vegetation in the backyard? Is that,
Does he want to
Is
build
it that-
another
can
structure
you
back there?
put your arrow
I'm not
on
clear
that?
on
No,
this.
that's on a different
I
property.
think I know which one we're
Because
talking
we
about.
have to
This-
have the right
yeah,
amount of,
okay.
we have to have the right amount of
This-
frontage.
If you,
Right amount, we need the right amount of frontage.
Yeah.
When we also have a restriction on one main building per lot.
Right.
So if you wanted to,
you said one main
one
building?
main building per lot.
Okay,
So if you wanted to construct a second building, you would need to establish a legal buildable lot, which would require frontage.
You don't have that.
For that zoning district, the required frontage is, the minimum lot width is 50 feet.
okay,
That lot is about 75.
And you need 100 to be able to do that, right?
To split it,
Yeah.
yeah. And the village does not permit the creation of panhandle lots, which is
What
where
is,
you have a small strip and then it opens up into a
no,
full-size
I don't
lot.
have.
The lot, the frontage at the street would have to meet that width
Okay,
requirement.
the frontage at the street, that's not an issue. Is there a restriction on, dividing the property into separate,
Yes, you need to have 50 feet frontage per
Buildable lot.
buildable lot, and you only have 75 feet, so you can only do one buildable lot.
so what does the, Matthews Drive across the street, what do they have? Those properties sit on, less than a quarter acre.
Well, they all front on Matthews
But,
Court.
and they were, that was also a subdivision that was approved under, I believe, the CUP,
Yeah.
CUP,
Community Unit Plan. It was
okay,
a special, essentially a special zoning district for the development of a subdivision. And that's what Matthews Court is a
okay.
uniquely developed subdivision for
So,
existing.
I understand what you're saying, is that the rules that created, Matthews Drive are not, applicable to that property.
Not at the
Correct.
present moment.
Yeah.
That's
And
right.
we're gonna have to move on something
Is that a
because
vacant lot
I
next
can't
to it?
live there and I'm gonna be working out of there. And that property right there is, plus, I mean, the village isn't doing anything with the property next door. Or are there plans to do anything with the property next door? Or just let it sit there? See, I have a lot of critters back there.
To the right, you mean to the east?
94,
The
right?
vacant lot
So the
to
village
the
owns
to the east.
94.
Belongs to the village.
Yeah,
This-
that
You're gonna sell
94
it?
don't have nothing on it,
That-
This
except
vacant-
the woods.
This vacant lot.
That's a question for council. They're the ones that drive the vote on how that may or may not develop.
I'm coming here first
Yeah.
because I know that it is a historical property.
The frontage
And to
needs,
get
yeah.
your perspective and get myself knowledgeable
Sure.
of the rules.
So
David,
the
this,
village owns the one between that house and the next house over?
Yeah,
The
this
village owns what?
this vacant
90
lot here.
Who
Yeah.
owns the one to the left, David?
This
That
one?
Yeah.
That's the village.
That's,
Washington.
That's the
that's
entrance to
Washington Park.
All right. That's what I
So-
thought, that was a parking lot for
Yeah,
the park.
that's
Would the
the park.
village ever have a use for that one between the two buildings?
That's a question for for council.
They've
Well,
got that
question
special
for
committee
council.
thing that works with
The
assets,
CIC
right?
might have something they're thinking about there, but
That's a,
I don't know what the
I
ultimate.
But that's
can't
why I
imagine
come
what that is
here
yeah.
for.
to get,
Um,
before I start making any kind of plans,
Yeah.
I don't want to run up against existing requirements.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
It costs too much money. to do
David,
that.
this property is not in the historic district, correct?
That's correct.
So you don't have the historic guidelines that control what you would do with that property.
Actually, it is.
Well, it's not in the historic district. The house itself might be historic.
Confirm.
But if the house is there, wouldn't the
let
land
me
that
confirm, because
is
I believe I might be
deeded
mistaken.
to that house,
No,
would
I'm-
it not also
I'm
be there?
mistaken. It is in the historic district.
Oh, it
It
is
is in the
okay.
historic district.
Yeah.
So whatever I just said, reverse it.
That's okay, I already knew that, I
Yeah.
just trying to clarify.
So it's in the district, so all the guidelines that apply to historic
As well
structures
as design code.
apply to that house.
Absolutely.
And anything else that you would build on that property.
Absolutely.
You talked about trees, what you can do about the trees. The zoning code doesn't control trees.
I
As
just
far as
wanted
zoning
to
goes,
make
now there might be
sure.
is there another ordinance, a separate
Yeah.
ordinance in
But
the
you
village?
can't build a second house there and have two structures on that lot. It's just not, it's not
wide.
possible.
It's not wide enough. It needs 50 foot of road
Yeah.
frontage minimum.
At this time.
Well,
That's right.
yeah.
Hey,
Today,
That's
that's
what
what the
the-
ordinance says.
Standards.
rules are made to be, you know, as you say, proposed. I'm just looking as far as how to construct plans.
You could approach the village about possibly obtaining that lot, but that's next to yours.
They ain't doing nothing with it. They ought to probably just give it to me.
That's an ass.
Well, because my future plans is to make that those two properties join together revenue for the village. Because right now you ain't getting nothing off of that. You're not getting anything off of that.
Well, there's, Mayor,
No,
is
and
there
I
is there a
understand.
group that he could approach about that?
Yeah,
Um,
there is. Now, what would your plan be if you were able to utilize both of those properties? What would your plan be? Are you building a single house, or are you thinking of building more than one additional home? In other words, would you build more than one extra house? Would you kind of like subdivide, it?
That I can't say, but that is a
Yeah.
consideration,
That's a consideration. Okay.
which depends upon.
Right.
I'm pragmatic.
Yeah.
I deal with what is.
Yeah.
Right now, it says I can only do so much with the property,
Right.
and now we have something on the table regarding the acquisition of the property next door.
Yeah, there's an opportunity there. Well, right now, the Glendale Community Investment Corporation exists to work on things like this. Maybe this should come before that group and
You tell me when they
determine
meet,
what.
I'll be
Yeah,
there.
determine. Would you want to buy that outright, or would you want to work with the village to try to develop a section of that, the two combined?
After discussion,
Yeah.
then we'll go from there.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. I did not get your first name. I'm sorry.
My name's Glenn.
Glenn.
I'm Glenn Parrish, not Greg Parrish, not Mike Parrish, or any of the other ones that I've been called, because I have 10 brothers. Don't get me.
Yes.
But I am Parrish. Most people just call me Parrish.
Parrish,
But for the record, my name's Glenn Parrish.
Okay.
Glenn.
N two N's. Okay. All right.
But if you could give me the information regarding
Right.
who I would discuss those possibilities
Yes.
with,
Yes.
I'd be glad to sit down with them and discuss that.
Okay. Very good.
As-
I'll do
and
that.
the thing
Let's-
about it is, and now this is just an aside.
Yep.
Glendale has control over a lot of vacant properties just like this, which are not bringing any income into the village, which we definitely need.
Well, this is an opportunity for sure, but I don't know how many beyond this that other than
Oh,
the
no,
park.
no. I'm just looking right
property.
here.
Right.
I'm just bringing that up so that when I'm talking to folks, they can see not only the forest, but they can see the trees.
Yeah, which you're fighting right now, all that vegetation, right?
I'm fighting well, and the foxes and the coons and
Yes.
and the rats and this, that, and the other.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to. I want to take away their homes.
Another option that could be a win-win
Yes.
for the village
Right.
is to divide it that way.
And facing
gets-
Washington, yeah.
He gets the Washington part, the village gets the back part and adjoins it to Washington Park.
Right, and you could build some houses facing Washington Park. That could be a real win, but
Again,
we need to talk, right?
Hey,
Okay.
exactly,
I
and I appreciate your ideas
Feedback.
Sure.
and suggestions, and
Sure.
I'll definitely take them to heart because,
Okay.
like I said, I'm a contractor.
Okay.
You know,
All right.
I didn't think I was going to be here. I thought I was going to be at the fires out in California. Remember, I work for FEMA.
All right.
Well, I'm a contractor for FEMA,
Okay.
and I've been doing that for a long time.
Got it.
So I know all the other things.
One thing I noticed, the house, the way it appears now, up against the property line,
Right.
that'd be a non-conforming house to our current ordinances for the setback.
Right.
So it can stay there as long as you keep it there. Or if you can put an addition on the west side or the north that has the proper setback, if you ever start thinking around in those terms.
Exactly. See, sir, you already said what I know.
Yeah.
I'm looking at those property lines
Yeah.
and I'm saying, wait a second, my property line is up against my basement.
But things
It
happen.
can be that way.
Things
Yes.
happen before.
That's
They
why I
wanna
wanted
live
the
like
village
that.
to
It could
come
be
out and
worse
say,
than
that.
this right here is the property
can.
line.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah,
So,
you gotta
you
do
know,
that
I'm just
yourself,
trying to do
though.
things the right way within the current parameters.
Yep.
So I don't want to keep y'all too
No.
long, but I
All food for
appreciate.
thought. No, appreciate that. And stay in touch with David and with the mayor about.
I will.
Combining the lots, or at least the opportunities with the two lots.
Right.
It's that there, like he said, there's a CIC
Right.
that looks at these issues on a regular basis. And I'm sure they'd like to talk to you too. So, but David's your connection for that as well.
Okay. Well, you know, he looks like a pretty reasonable guy.
He's all right.
I like to think I
He's
am.
past the probation period.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, thanks, David. I'll get with you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Parrish.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No one else in the audience? All right. Members of the commission, anything else that needs to come before us?
So I'll make a motion to adjourn then.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.